Welcome to Imperfect Together with Chris and Zach, where nobody's perfect, and that's okay because we're all a little jacked up, especially Zach. I feel like I'm really mean to you on this all the time. I'm sorry. I apologize, Zach.
It's okay.
Is that okay?
It's okay. My family used to beat me up all the time.
I feel like it's just so easy to just make fun of you and poke jabs. And
yeah, that's all right.
I apologize. I'm not perfect.
It's okay. My wife.
Your wife does that too?
Yeah, she does. She lets me know all the time, especially before we go to bed. No,
okay, we'll stop
She doesn't
there.
do that. She doesn't do that.
So here we are continuing the conversation on families and kind of focusing more this week on dysfunctional families, right? How to deal with the dysfunctional family, because we all have that to a degree, some more than others. So just off the bat, let's just talk about families for a second. Tell me about your family. Just brief overview, your family, not your now family, your family when you were in high school.
So my family in high school, there was just a lot of dysfunctional. My family divorced when I was 10. There was a lot of use of drugs. And even with the whole divorce, I was always kind of caught in the middle of it. Just a lot of, my sister got pregnant somewhere during my high school year, and she's younger than me. She's 3 years younger than me. I think I was a senior when she did that. And then, so it was just a lot of crap that kind of just happened during my high school and my middle school. Just a lot of good stuff. And I could go, and that's just a small list.
Right.
And I don't want to get too in depth with it.
So what's good here is we'll be coming from two different extremes, because I actually came from a really good family.
Well, good for you.
Not that we didn't have our dysfunction. My family actually my parents were kind of a statistical anomaly, because
why don't you boast a little bit, you jerk?
If you let me get to it, you'll understand why. My mom was 17 and my dad was 18 when they had me. And this is my understanding. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. The story goes. But my grandparents said, okay, y'all are getting married, and threw together a wedding in 4 days. And so they got married. So
it was an arranged marriage?
No. They were together in high school.
I wasn't paying attention.
Got pregnant, and my grandma said, you're getting married. Is basically how it worked out.
I think that's an arranged marriage.
Okay, whatever you want to call it. They got married, and they lasted. They're still together today. Oh, wow. And but I remember early on in the younger years, a lot of them figuring it out. We kind of raised each other, right? Yeah. They raised me. I had to help raise them because you got a baby, you got to grow up quick.
Yeah.
So there was things like my mom was really good at a lot of things. She's an excellent cook. She can cook anything, and she doesn't even need a recipe, or she just finds stuff in the cabinets, throws it all together, and something good comes out. Loves people. One thing she's not great at though is laundry. Right? She's terrible at laundry, and so my dad always got mad at that. I would always get mad when I'm trying to get dressed for school, and I'm going downstairs and trying to find clothes, and there's nothing. But it feels like there's this giant mound of just laundry in our laundry room. So much so that sometimes, this is a funny story. Sometimes I didn't have jeans to wear. This was when I was in high school. I didn't have jeans to wear, and I was a size 32.
Yeah.
Maybe 30 or 32, somewhere in there.
Okay.
My dad was a size 44. So I would have to take his pants sometimes, his jeans, and I would fold them in and then fold it over at the top, and then have to get a belt to tie them together.
I got a mom story for you.
I'm not done with my story.
Oh, all right. Go ahead.
And then I would go to school like that. You can go to
So my mom's story. So whenever I got married to my beautiful wife.
Yeah.
Whenever I got married, so my mom was at the wedding, and then we had the father and son dance, and the father and daughter dance, and all that stuff. And then it was time for me and my mom to come up to do the dance, and I went in the middle. And do you know "Mama" by Boyz II Men? It was like, "Mama, you know I love you." Yeah, that song was playing, and my mom was nowhere to be seen. But she was great at laundry.
See? To each their own. They all got their pros and cons,
It's okay.
right?
Catherine's mom came in and she danced with me, but it was just like, I don't know where my mom went. But
She dipped out.
yeah, she dipped out. Yeah. So like, yeah, polar opposites.
A lot of dysfunction.
Yeah, but my mom was great at laundry, so
That's good. That's good, So whatever, Zach. I think when you were younger, like, what point did you realize your family was super dysfunctional? Like, because I think a lot of times when we're younger, we see our parents as like superheroes, and as we get older, we realize all the dysfunction that's actually going on.
I probably didn't realize exactly how dysfunctional until I was like in college. In high school, I was just kind of in the middle of it. I was also just kind of quiet a lot of the time, kind of kept to myself. But it wasn't probably until my first year of my first year of college, I was like, oh man, that's not how a normal family operates, because I would look at, some of my close friends' families and just see how they operate. And it's like,
Right.
my family's nowhere near that. Mm-hmm. And so from there, and also just, putting on, the lens of Christ and all that stuff and realizing, oh yeah, there's a lot of dysfunction here. So yeah, but I just laugh at it.
Just laugh at it. That's good to know,
not
Zach.
healthy. Not healthy.
Good to know, Zach. I think a lot of times you laugh at it. There's other responses other people will take. Because when you get into high school, like you get into your junior high years and you start noticing some things that are like just not normal. Yeah. Then you get in your high school years and you understand it all. Yeah. Or not all of it, but a lot of it. Mm-hmm. And you begin to see the different dysfunction, whether it's extreme, where families are separated and you've gone through divorce, or you've got abusive father, or whatever it is, to the minute stuff like I went through. Like I didn't go through anything serious like that. Yeah. But there's still dysfunction. But I think we do a couple things. We either start to count our families out, like, oh, you did this to me, I don't want nothing to do with you anymore. And so we can go that extreme to where we start disrespecting them. We don't listen anymore. And so now in high school, you're just going off and doing your own thing because you're like, who are you to tell me what to do, right? So we take that route, or we count ourselves out, and we just kind of just isolate. And we just step back and we just go into our room and do our own thing. And we almost just wait until we graduate, right?
That's how I was.
Right. You just wait, like I'll be 18 in 3 years, and then I can get out of here and move on. And neither one of those are a healthy thing to do. So you were the isolator. You counted yourself out.
I was an isolator. Especially my junior and going into my senior years, whenever I first became a Christian. I became a Christian going into my senior year, like that summer. Mm-hmm. And whenever that happened, I hung out a lot with my friends, didn't really hang out. But before that, it was like I would isolate myself from my family. Even then, like I would just not, I would keep quiet, I would keep distance, whatever.
Right.
But I didn't know what a healthy family looked like, until much later. But yeah, and I would go on. But even then, there's still some isolation there with me and my family right now. So I think the goal today then is how do we begin to see another way? Yeah. Another way to handle things or do things, and it changes the way that we kind of see our families from here on out. Instead of just counting them out or counting ourselves out, okay, what's the third option? How do we handle that well? And obviously, we want to look to Scripture for this. And really, when you look at the Bible, there was a lot of different stories you could choose from of dysfunctional families. Like God has a lot of practice with dysfunctional families. Yeah. If you take the most notable families, you think of in the Bible, you think of like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? Mm-hmm. Those three dudes were like, they were always referred to as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So you take the top dogs in the Christian faith and you look at their families. Well, Abraham, had a baby with his not mistress, like a concubine, or was her name Rachel?
No, Abraham's wife was Sarah, and they couldn't have. God said, "Hey, you're gonna have a whole bunch of children."
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we're 99. We're not gonna have a bunch of children. So Sarah's like, well, here, have a baby with, I think it was Hagar.
Yeah.
And so they had a baby, and then that caused a whole bunch of dysfunction there. And then you go to Isaac, and
So with
that's
Abraham,
the story of, he favors his son. No, wasn't that story yet?
yeah.
What?
So with Abraham, so what you're saying there is that there was, so he was 99 when he had a kid.
He was up there.
Yeah, he was up there. So you would say that there was snow on the roof, but fire in the furnace, correct?
What? I don't even know what you mean. Yes, we'll say that, Zach. We'll say that. Golly, I don't understand how your brain works sometimes. The point was, there was some dysfunction there going on.
Yeah.
Because now he had two wives. Well, really, she wasn't a wife, but, that over. Then they went to this. So then he had Isaac, and then Isaac had Jacob and Esau. And Esau was actually the older brother. And so usually as an older brother, you have the birthright and all this kind of stuff. And Jacob was like, he was a sneaky guy. He was more the artistic, I'm going to cook and I'm going to do all this kind of stuff. Esau was, I'm going to go out and kill everything and get our food. And so there's a story in Genesis 25 where Esau comes back in. He's like famished. He wants some food. Jacob's been cooking, and Jacob tricks him into giving him his birthright. Basically saying, look, I'm not giving you any food unless you give me your birthright. Which in that time, that doesn't sound like a big deal to us today, but in that time it meant like you got a double portion of stuff, and you got your father's blessing, and there was all these additional things that went along with that. And it didn't help that Rachel was kind of on Jacob's side and helped him come up with all these schemes to trick Esau, that's pretty dysfunctional in itself. Yeah. And anyways, ended up being Esau gave him his birthright, and later on, Esau wanted to kill his brother because of all this. Yeah. Right? So you have a lot of stories biblically of dysfunctional families. Yeah. But yet almost all of them, when you look ahead in the story, God uses those for good in some way, some form or fashion. You take Joseph, his brothers tried to kill him, and he ended up being second in command and saving his family from a famine. If you look later on in Hebrews, they looked back on Jacob and Esau as they were considered blessed. I don't know what the specific wording was, but it wasn't celebrating necessarily what they did.
Yeah.
But God used that and ended up bringing that family back together. And it was mentioned later on in the book of Hebrews, recognizing that. Right? So when it comes to dysfunctional families, instead of casting people out, saying I don't care about you anymore, or isolating ourselves and I just got to make it till I'm 18 and I can get out of here. What then, if we're looking at this, is the best way for us to handle that? How do we look at, okay, I'm in this situation, or let's figure out the best way to handle this. Okay. We're in this situation where your family's dysfunctional, you got some things going on at home, and whether it's extreme, not extreme, how do you make it through the high school years without just sitting back or disrespecting your family or any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I would say that just knowing that God has a purpose for all of it. My family's super dysfunctional, still is. But just knowing that God uses everything for its own purpose, I think, is a big one to notice and recognize. Mm-hmm. And I think I wish I had that mindset whenever I was in high school, of God uses all things, right? Yeah. And so I think that's a big one. And even though that I don't quite see it yet, with my family right now, doesn't mean that he can't change it, within a week from now, or, even 10 years from now, I think it's just a process. But I think we need to trust God through all of it, especially through high school.
It's not easy to do. Yeah. And making that mind shift mindset shift is difficult. To sit back and say, okay, God can use this somehow, because I sure don't feel like it
Yeah.
in the moment. But the reality is, your family matters,
Yeah.
and when your family matters, it doesn't matter how dysfunctional it is, how fractured it is, you can still play a part in helping your family come together.
Yeah. And I would also add, and that doesn't mean, oh, my family's super dysfunctional, so I'm just going to trust God. But and that is true. But I mean, also in that, like, if you're getting abused or if you're getting anything like that,
Right.
like, you need to talk to someone. That
get help.
doesn't give you an excuse to not say anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Anytime you're getting abused, there's harm.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. We need to deal with that.
Yeah.
But not all situations are that way.
Yeah.
And
I just wanted to be clear with that.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think you need to deal with that, or you need to talk to somebody so that they can help you learn how to work through that process.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to be in an unhealthy situation.
Yeah.
But I think most of us, it's more of things that are just annoying to us, or your parents are divorced, or you don't like your stepmom, or whatever it is.
My sister keeps on using my comb.
Yeah, simple, man. Sidetrack.
That's
One of the most frustrating.
truest
Listen,
statement,
when you get married, one of the most
Does your daughter use
frustrating
your comb?
things is when your wife uses the toothpaste and doesn't put the lid back on.
Yeah.
There's little things like that just get under your skin. That's a whole other thing. Now that's me working on my own family and
Yeah.
those dysfunctions.
Man, if that's your dysfunction,
That's all I got.
then I think you're doing pretty good,
No,
player.
I'm not doing that great. I try to be good. I mean, you ask my kids, for the most part, it's going to be a pretty good family.
Yeah.
But at the same time, anytime that my wife and I are
But it's
fighting,
that toothpaste. It
is.
I'm gonna get angry.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It's probably though your wife is
Chris
mad.
gonna get angry again with the whole
You're the
toothpaste.
one. You're the one that your wife is mad at you about the stupid stuff like that.
Yeah.
Exact-
Well, she thinks it's
Uh-huh.
endearing.
It's endearing.
Yeah, like if let's say I get coffee or I wake up really early and I leave the drawers open. That's like a bad habit that I have. And then she at first thought that it was super annoying and she hated it because I always kept the drawers open. But then she realized, you know what, that's super endearing because now I see exactly where Zach went when he was in the kitchen. Like, oh, he got some cereal and he got some coffee. Oh, I bet he had a great morning.
Man, that is your wife taking a very good perspective on something that would just tick me off.
That's why.
That's why she can deal with
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
You found a good one, Zach.
I did.
You found a good one. Listen, at the end of the day, getting back to this, if you're in high school, you're still under your parents' roof. You still have a responsibility to respect your authority. And so the best thing that you can do is respect them.
Yep.
And listen to them and be Jesus to them. I mean, if I look back at my family, like I said, I didn't have a whole lot of problems, and we might have talked about this last week on the podcast, but it was when I found faith in Jesus and we started actually getting plugged into a church is when my family started, like I started seeing shifts in my parents.
Yeah.
Right. And so you as a high schooler can have an impact on your family by the way you treat them, by the way you live your life. And God can use you to find good in whatever situation you're in. Right. It doesn't mean every family's going to be put back together and with a magic bow tied on top of it. I mean, families are families. We live in a messed up world. We're all human.
Yeah.
And I think the quicker we recognize, you know what, parents are just humans. They're going to make mistakes. We all screw up. But we can still make an impact and have a difference there. So as we kind of close this out, I think that's important to remember.
Yep.
Right? Is you have a responsibility as a high schooler to still love your family, to still support them, still be there for them, and to be Jesus to them, because you never know how God can use you to begin to make a difference in your family. And I think too, when we begin to change our thinking like that, a lot of the little annoyances that we have, we really don't care about anymore because
Yeah.
we're looking at a bigger picture. We're working on bigger things instead of just fighting over the little stuff. So, you know, and I get that this topic can go a lot further than that, and than a 20-minute talk or however long we've been going.
Yeah.
But it's a start.
Yeah.
You know, and so for you, just take that and apply that to your situation. How can you be Jesus to your family? Or if you're like, I don't know who Jesus is, man, just start digging in. Find some videos on YouTube or listen to other podcasts or go visit a church or whatever, but start figuring out what that looks like, so you can see how Jesus can affect your life, just like he has mine and Zach's and so many other people we know. So any final thoughts from you? We got to close this out?
You want me to close you out?
No, I do not.
Okay. Final thoughts. Guys, I want to thank you guys for everything. I want to.
Were you giving an acceptance speech?
I wish you guys the best, and let's go team.
So last time I asked you for final thoughts, Zach. All right, well, that is Imperfect Together. Thanks for hanging out with us today, and check back next week, and who knows what we'll be talking about then. See you later. Love you guys.
Yep.